The Klan is coming down the street, and I'm standing with a Jewish friend, and neither one, well, I'm going to run.
A lot of the English language has to be rethought. Blackmailing is negative.
There's a moment when everything changes. For Ben Shapiro, it was the day he stepped onto the stage of The View, a talk show that prides itself on stirring up controversy, only to be confronted with a backlash so powerful. It left the host stunned and scrambling. This wasn't just about one show. It was about how The View manipulates public opinion, spreads misinformation, and leaves millions of viewers with skewed understandings of history, politics, and society. Let's dive into what went down, how Shapiro took them apart, and why it matters. The View isn't just another daytime talk show. It's been running for over 25 years and has shaped countless conversations, molding opinions on everything from politics to pop culture. But is it really about deep discussions? Or is it, more accurately, a factory for outrage? A space where emotions and opinions are pushed into the spotlight, often without the support of solid facts. The show prides itself on being a place for real talk. Yet it often feels like a carnival of emotional reactions, with the hosts throwing out whatever comes to mind, regardless of whether it's backed by research or common sense. This is where Ben Shapiro, fast-talking, coldly logical, and always prepared to cut through the noise, enters the scene. And once he did, the hosts were left scrambling. But here's the bigger question. Why does this matter so much? The answer lies in the sheer scale of The View's audience. Millions of people tune in every day, watching as the hosts push their views, shaping how many of those viewers see the world. And for Ben Shapiro, that's a big problem. Because when the platform is used to push misinformation and historical revisionism, it doesn't just make for bad TV, it makes for bad public discourse. One of the most significant moments in this battle came when Whoopi Goldberg made an astonishingly misguided statement about the Holocaust. She said that the Holocaust wasn't about race. Instead, she claimed it was just a matter of man's inhumanity to man.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about
maybe
race.
ethnicity.
Well, they
No,
consider
it's
Jews
about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about
Well,
race.
what is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Think about that. A statement that erases the very core of what the Holocaust was about. The Nazis' belief in racial superiority, their ideology rooted deeply in the idea that certain races, especially Jews, were subhuman and needed to be eradicated.
Is obnoxious and stupid beyond all measure. The Holocaust was not about race. Ask the Nazis. The entire Holocaust was about race. All of it. Which is why they didn't just pick on Jews who observed Judaism. They picked on anyone who had quote-unquote Jewish blood. The entire thing.
Shapiro didn't hesitate. He called it out. And he didn't just call it out in a casual way. He dismantled the entire argument with cold, hard facts. As someone who is Jewish, Shapiro knew exactly what the Holocaust was about. It wasn't just about a brutal genocide. It was about racial hatred. The Nazis didn't just target Jews because they practiced a religion. They targeted anyone with Jewish blood. Shapiro didn't mince words. He told the world that Goldberg's comments weren't just wrong. They were dangerous. By downplaying the racial aspects of the Holocaust, Goldberg wasn't just spreading misinformation. She was actively distorting the history of one of the most horrific events in human history. And when you start blurring those lines, when you start erasing the truths of history, you open the door for dangerous ideas to take hold. The backlash was swift. Not just from Shapiro, but from historians, Jewish organizations, and people across the political spectrum. Goldberg's apology, while necessary, didn't change the fact that her words had already done damage. And for Shapiro, this wasn't just about one incorrect statement. It was a symptom of a broader problem with how celebrities and media figures wield their influence without any regard for the responsibility that comes with it. But Goldberg wasn't done. No, she took it a step further. In yet another jaw-dropping moment, she compared Israel and the United States to terrorist organizations like Hamas and the Taliban. This wasn't just a controversial statement. It was a full-scale attack on the very foundation of democratic societies.
Comparing the U.S., Israel, Hamas, and the Taliban as all terrorist organizations. And she has maybe way more knowledge and experience in the very complicated Middle Eastern relations. But I did find that being on a foreign committee and comparing the country to a known terror. Those are organized terrorist communities. Not Israel, but
Shapiro was livid. You can't compare democratic nations that seek to protect their citizens and uphold the rule of law, with groups that actively seek to destroy, kill, and terrorize. Comparing Israel, a nation that fights terrorism, with terrorist organizations like Hamas is not just a false equivalence. It's morally bankrupt. Shapiro hit the point home, distinguishing between nations that work to uphold human rights and groups that work to destroy them. He explained that this kind of thinking, which treats both sides of a conflict as equally bad, paves the way for moral relativism, a dangerous mindset that undermines the very concept of right and wrong. And this isn't just about Israel or the US. This is about understanding the difference between good and evil, right and wrong. When we blur those lines, when we treat violence as a matter of perspective, we risk normalizing terror. We risk allowing real evil to continue unchecked. And for Shapiro, this wasn't just a debate about foreign policy. It was a fight for basic moral clarity. Then came Joy Behar. Known for her outspoken and often absurd takes, Behar argued that words like blackmail and black sheep are inherently racist. Yes, you heard that right. She claimed that these words, terms that have been part of the English language for centuries,
Saying that a lot of the English language has to be rethought. Blackmailing is negative, black sheep, negative. I can think of a few others if I had the time, but those words are kind of like embedded in our psyches and maybe need to be changed. Why is a black sheep a bad thing and a white sheep is a good thing? Why? They're just sheep.
Well, it's not the words.
need to be rethought because they associate black with negativity. Shapiro wasn't having it. This wasn't about racial injustice. This was about symbolic activism, creating problems where none exist. He pointed out that terms like blackmail have historical roots unrelated to race, with origins in Old Scottish law, and that black sheep simply referred to a rare color of sheep. Shapiro's final blow was his criticism of The View as an echo chamber. The hosts rarely engage with opposing views. When they do, they're shouted down, ridiculed, or dismissed. This isn't a place for debate. It's a place for applause. The View creates an environment where only one side of the story is heard, reinforcing political biases and dividing the audience even more. So what does this all mean? It means we need to think critically about the information we consume. It means we need to stop accepting the narrative handed to us by media outlets and start questioning everything. Because when platforms like The View spread misinformation without consequences, it affects us all. If you care about truth, about real debate, and about the future of our public discourse, then it's time to stand up. Don't just watch, question. Don't just accept, challenge. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the media and how it shapes our world.